Alright, here's a video on how to set up a pipe chanter. Here I've got a Colin Keogh chanter, and here's a Gilmore reed. There's the kangaroo, and there's the Gilmore. So I've got the reed pretty far out, so we pretty much know that the top hand is going to be flat relative to the bottom hand. Moving the reed up and down in the reed seat generally affects the top hand more than the bottom hand. But anyways, just to show you how this works, I'll put this in the pipe. I've got a tuner here. I'm not really sure if it's set to the right frequency or not, but we can fix that in a minute. But really, you can just use your drones to tune the chanter. You don't really need a tuner. So, chanter is in the pipe. Okay, so the chanter is not even close to being balanced, and you'll notice that the tenor drone is getting close to the low A, but the high A isn't anywhere near, and it's actually so flat that I can't even get the drone high enough on the pin to tune flat enough against the high A. It's actually going to fall off. So we know the high A is really flat. Okay, and so what we'll do is we'll push the reed in. Alright, so the reed is in. And this chanter, this is an older one, so the reed seat is more cylindrical, so it's a little easier to just push the reed in and out without changing the amount of hemp, but you might need to change the amount of hemp. So I'm just going to push the reed in. So I pushed it in quite a bit, actually. Let's just quickly see where it ends up here on the tuner. Okay, so let's sharpen up the tuner here. Oh, let's see, that's 480. And it says it's a little sharp. I think this chanter tunes around 481, and since the Korg stops at 480, I'm going to move it down to 454. And so instead of reading the note name A, it'll say B flat. Because 454 is 481, just depending on your reference pitch. Okay, fine, 455. Oh, so low A and high A are pretty close. I would say, at least according to this, that the high A is actually a little sharp. Let's put it on 456. Yeah, according to the tuner, the high A is a little sharp of the low A now, so I pushed the reed in too far. But just to show you that with the drone, without the tuner, and also mouth tuning the chanter is a terrible idea, because it's going to change in the pipe. But, you know, we got close roughing it in. So first thing to notice is before, the tenor drone was kind of in tune with the low A. I could have refined it some more. Now it's way out of tune. So notice that the pitch of the low A does change with moving the depth of the reed, especially considering how far we moved it. Oh, yeah, that and I moved the tenor drone because I was messing with it, showing you how flat I'd have to get it to get to high A. So never mind, it's in a different position than it was before. Man, these reeds are really sharp in this bagpipe. or really flat, I should say. Oh, and there's nothing I can do to change it, because these are kind of maxed out as it is. Okay, but anyways. So you'll notice that the tenor drone in tune with the low A sounds pretty good, but when I go to high A, it sounds kind of bad. It's not in tune anymore. I think the high A is sharper than the low A, and the tuner might be telling you the same. So you would know this if you tune the tenor to the high A, you would need to move the drone down to tune it to the high A, because the high A is sharper. And now the tenor drone is too sharp to be in tune with the low A. So I'm still imbalanced, except I'm the other way. So I started with a flat high A relative to the low A, and now I have a sharp high A relative to the low A. So I'm just going to pull the reed out. Looks like I need to add some hemp. Probably what I'll do is just redo the hemp and see if I can get it to be not quite so sharp. Alright, now sometimes what I'll do when I'm setting a reed is I'll use my finger and I'll put it right here, and I'll kind of line up the top end of the wrapping here with some feature on my finger, like where the nail ends or where there's a crease in the skin or something like that, to kind of give me an idea of where I'm at. So right now it's basically nail length. And that helps if you have to take the reed out of the seat and change the amount of hemp on it to get it to seat at a different depth. You can, use your finger as a quick ruler. So now the high A is flat again, but that's pretty typical for not having measured it and just sort of eyeballing it. So I'm going to push it back in. I'm going to try not move it very far. And we'll try again. Getting really close. I don't have to move the tenor drone much to go between the in tune for high A and in tune for low A. The high A is just a tiny bit flat. So I'm going to barely try to move this. Okay, it done barely been moved. So the low A and the high A are pretty close to each other. If you notice as I was going through the scales, the high G is really sharp, which is pretty typical for dry environments. So I'm going to put some tape on high G. Just put it over the top of the hole. I don't know if you can see that, but I put some tape on high G. The D was pretty sharp too, so let me grab some tape for the D. Where's my tape? I use 2 different kinds of tape. It's either black automotive pin striping tape, you know, the tape you put lines on the side of your car to make it look vain. And then there's also electrical tape, Scotch 35. It doesn't come in black that I found, but you can get red and yellow or brown. It's not a dark brown though, it's pretty normal brown, so it's not black. So there we go. If it turns out when you balance the A's that a lot of notes are sharp, you know, like I'm doing here, it's pretty easy to just tape them. If you find they're flat, that's a problem. You'll have to push the reed further in to imbalance them and then end up taping your high A so that you can get all the other notes up to pitch, but that's not the case here. So the D could probably use a little more tape. It's sharp. The C is just a tiny bit sharp. So remember that only A and high A need to show up green on the tuner. The other notes do not tune with this kind of tuner to green. They tune to red. Depends on the note whether it's flat or sharp. B needs to be just a tiny bit sharp. I mean, it would probably show both green and red lights. C needs to be flat by about 14 cents, so it needs to be to the left. Let's see, D, I don't remember. It's either, I think it's flat by just the same amount that B is sharp, just a tiny bit, like red and green. E, I think it's just a wee bit sharp, just a tiny bit. F is another 17 or 16 cents flat. So C and F are pretty similar in that regard. G is 31 cents flat, so you got to go over 31. So on these tuners, there's a little mark for 20 cents flat and 20 cents sharp. So you need to go to the dot past the 20 to get the G's in tune. I forgot to change the tape on the D. It's still sharp. Alright, a little bit more tape on the high G, because I live in Lubbock, Texas. There we go. So I've tuned the pipe chanter. I've ended up with tape. There's none on the tone holes, in case your G is ever sharp. No tape on low A. No tape on B. I got some tape on C. Tape on D. No tape on E. E's a little off, but it's not far enough for me to worry about for this video. There's F. And then here's G. It's got some tape on it. Quite a bit. You know, maybe 2/5 of the hole or something. And then there's high A. So I hope that helps. Tune your chanter.